we don't have a bowling attack anymore. All four bowlers are injured.
Might be Dhananjay De Silva opening the attack with a couple of spinners in between. It's almost like going back a couple of years when everyone was breaking down. So now we are back,
Yeah,
similar stories again.
I was reading an interesting article by Bilal Yusuf, the rugby
Yeah.
coach.
Oh,
This was,
yeah.
yeah, 2 years ago, he has written an article about the injuries in Sri Lanka cricket. And I was
Yeah.
just going through it, and what he's talking about there still valid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fair call. And
mm,
if you think how many modern day Sri Lankan players have played back to back games and how many back to back games they've played, I don't think they'll be pushing any records anytime soon.
yeah, you had to be in the park first to set records. All right, let's do this. Welcome back to Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast. This episode is sponsored by DJB47.com. We had about 3 weeks break from the last episode. Life gets in the way with
Yeah.
other commitments. But during that time, we had a very successful LPL. Wanindu's Candy team won the LPL. It's going to be really busy schedule for Sri Lanka and world cricket for the next couple of months. We are starting an Asia Cup this Wednesday. I think we should start from the Arbora. We are going into our Asia Cup without a bowling attack. I think we'll start from there. We haven't spoken for 3 weeks. How have you been?
Yeah, good. Just busy with work and other commitments, but we do follow the cricket. And Wanindu Hasaranga had one of the best individual performances in a series, which resulted in Candy winning the title. Candy are not. It's nothing new. If you go back in time into a provincial setup, Candy always had strong teams.
Mm.
Um, and have been strong performers. So a T20 win under them. Cricket's been pretty busy in Sri Lanka. I think Sri Lanka could be one of the countries that has been hosting a lot of tournaments in this calendar year. Can't think of many teams that has done it. So credit to Sri Lanka cricket to organizing a lot of tournaments. If you take,
Mm.
there was the A team Asia, like an Asia Cup tournament going
Yeah.
around. We're co-hosting the Asia Cup now, or heading into that. LPL, and few other
Under
series.
19s, West Indies under 19s are in Sri Lanka.
Correct. We just finished an Afghanistan versus Pakistan series as well.
Yeah.
So cricket's been pretty busy. No off season in Sri Lanka. We are heading into Asia Cup, which is a challenge on its own. Sri Lanka has had good success in the past. A lot of individual performances comes into mind in Asia Cup tournaments. Um, but we're heading into a tournament with an injured or injured set of players, so who won't be taken apart. So we might
Mm.
come across new players, or even might be an opportunity for some of the players to return back into the fold. One person that kind of stands out at the moment is Nuwan Pradeep.
Mm.
He's had a good domestic T20 tournament, so um, I won't be surprised if he is around. Look, I'm just going on the back of some of the LPL performances, but our front end bowlers are injured, and I don't think they'll play a part. Dushmantha Chamira, I think, is ruled out of the tournament. Wanindu Hasaranga, they're trying to make a late push into him, probably trying to get him hobbling on one leg to perform like he did in the LPL. But and the latest candidate is Dilshan Madhushankar, who's
Yeah.
gone
I think he
into the
has a
hospital.
side strain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting tournament because it's a very short first round of the tournament. We have 6 teams in the tournament and they're in 2 groups. So each team plays 2 games and then we play a Super Four where they play each other once and there's a top 2 plays a final. So with this wounded attack, if we mess up one game, it'll be really hard for us to claim us claim a spot in that top 4. So as you said, it's a good thing that most of the cricketers in Sri Lanka has been playing cricket. Like if you call for reinforcements, the club cricketers has been playing 3-day cricket as well. So everyone's been playing some sort of cricket. We have that in our advantage, but we needed Dushmantha, Chamira, Lahiru Kumara, Dilshan Madhusanka, and Wanindu Hasaranga, those 4 bowlers, if we were to defend our Asia Cup title, which we won a year ago. There was I think Kusal Pereira and Kusal Pereira had a COVID scare as well. I think he's cleared, but no one really care about COVID anymore. I mean, they treat it like a flu now. It's crazy how like 12 months ago, Bora, we were we were playing cricket in bubbles, and it's crazy how we played 12 cricket 12 months ago. But we are playing, I mean, few matches in Pakistan. That's where the first match is at. Then couple of games in Pallekele. So we are playing against Bangladesh. Lately, Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh has become a bit of a rivalry. There's a big social media following of both teams, especially younger generation who started watching cricket after after 2010s. And yeah, there's a big game India Pakistan playing on Saturday in Pallekele. So yeah, it'll be interesting tournament because we are going into a World Cup soon after this. So it's sad to say we are going in as underdogs, everything to gain from the tournament.
Yeah, I think first hurdle is to qualify into the Super Fours for in a group of strong teams, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Sri Lanka, and to make the top 2 it's a bit of a challenge. We need to be on top of our performances. On the back of the rivalry of Bangladesh, you also got to think they've got 2 former Sri Lankan coaches in their camp. So they want to get one over Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
With that, with playing, I mean, we are playing at home, which gives us a bit of an advantage, but a lot of teams, a lot of the Bangladeshi players, Pakistan players have been in and out of the setup with LPL exposure. So I can't think of it being a massive advantage. Heading into an Asia Cup environment, few things I'm not sure where they lie. It is traveling to Pakistan, how the security protocols have been met. I know a couple of years ago, or since Sri Lanka had that incident, it's been a bit hesitant to go out there, and even players had reservations of traveling out to Pakistan. We haven't heard much into that, so I hope those measures are being met. The big game is India Pakistan played out at Pallekele. That will be a big boost for the Sri Lankan economy, number one, and there's going to be a full house. If we have hope the wicket is set up that it produces a good result, but even I've seen that there is request for accommodation because they're short on
Yes.
hotel out there. So those are good indications that people are traveling now to watch the game. So be keen on that. on the back of COVID, I know Kusal and even Avishka had COVID. It's
Mm.
just, I'm not sure what the protocols are in Sri Lanka. Over here, it's you treat it as a, like you said, a common flu. You're like
Yeah.
2, 3 days, you're back at it. But just not sure what the Sri Lankan protocol is out there, or whether there is
Oh,
any ICC requirements that they need to meet. One thing that's for certain for Sri Lanka is on the back of the injury worries, it almost now transitions through to the batting group to kind of
yeah.
look after the youngish or youngish bowling group that's going to be on offer.
Mm.
So a lot of responsibility out there to deliver in terms of the batting setup.
Yeah. It's interesting because we haven't announced the squad yet. At like we're recording this on a Monday night here in Australia. First game is on our first game is on Thursday, but
Yeah.
we haven't seen a squad yet. So which is normal for Sri Lanka cricket. We announce the team as
They'll
late
announce a
as possible.
20-man squad
Yeah.
and have about 5, 6 players sitting in hotels as a backup.
Yeah.
But I mean, just looking at the injury list, we are up to 6 players on the injury list. If
Yeah.
you take Kusal and Avishka and the 4 bowlers in Hasaranga, Kasun, Dushmant, and Dilshan Majusanka. So that's 6 players that we know of who are not available in a 15-man squad. So when scenarios like this happen, sometimes players get lucky. They just, if they walk in front of a selector, they might get picked
Yeah.
into a squad
I know.
because
I know.
they're a
Oh.
bit desperate to find players. And if I was a domestic player, I'll be, or I don't know what the setup is now, but
Mhm.
back in the day, I'll be crowded. You'll be
Yeah.
training a lot of times at
Yeah.
Ketaram around this
That's
time.
it. Just
Just
camp out there. Just camp out
yeah,
there. Just, take all your food
one
and
net spell.
100%. Just live there. Go to the gym,
Yeah,
do training and do the same for this period because you might get called up because we need
yeah,
need bowlers. Uh, yeah, we know a few stories like that for our people who got
yeah.
lucky.
Look, getting back into the Scott announcement, like I know we're lighthearted around things, but 2 days out from the first game starting, you need to put names down on paper and get it. The Sri Lankan process is the ministry, sports minister has to approve the squad. There's a lot of
Yes,
um, you have to go through a lot of
hoops.
yeah approvals to get a squad in. So um, then the next question is, does that give enough time to get the player jersey sorted out if they haven't done so already heading into a tournament? So a bit of logistical nightmare happening at this stage. um, but playing at home gives us, like, I think you nailed it at the start when you said all the good thing is all these players have been playing cricket.
Mm.
They've been in a high performance environment. It could be with a LPL franchise, but still they've been training, working through.
Yeah.
So for example, Dushan Hemant, the right arm leggy, he'll probably be a direct replacement for Hasaranga. So he'll come on the back of some match practice. Um, then, like I mentioned, one Pradeep at the start, he's one guy. Binura Fernando probably will be
Mm.
confident that he'll get a look in now.
Yeah.
He played a full tournament, which also is a bit of a nervous thing heading into a back-to-back tournament or a series. Can
Mm.
he, hold his own um, through the tournament rather without breaking down? So that'll be a big test for him. But it goes down to then Wanindu Hasaranga is out, so Mahesh Deekshana will probably be the leading spinner. Matish Patrina probably gets a bit more responsibility on his young shoulders to step up to the role, so it gives him a run to play. But the batting group will looks fairly steady.
Yeah. But I haven't seen any news about bringing Angelo Matthews back into the team, Bora,
Yeah,
because he had a very good LPL. One
yeah,
reason Candy won that LPL was Angelo Matthews. They had the
yeah,
experience in their team. I think like we can move on to LPL. We can finish this off with LPL.
yeah,
Because Candy management with Wanindu being the captain, they were smart in picking the team. They had a very good mix. They
yeah,
had they brought in Angelo and they brought in Chandimal, and coming into the playoffs stage, those players performed, and that's how they
yeah.
won the title. Like Wanindu didn't play in the final, and they still won it, and Angie made sure they got over the line. So is he is he putting those performances at the right time for him to make a comeback? This might be it. So we'll wait and see. I haven't seen any news, so nothing reported about his return, but he's making a case.
Yeah, definitely puts himself in the best position to get himself picked into the setup. Could be a reason why they haven't announced the squad yet, whether he's making a late charge. But um, when you look back at the LPL, Wanindu had one of the best individual performance in a series, going by um, what he put in. Semi-final effort was 6 for 9. Not many teams can win against a bowling performance like that, especially in a T20. When given the chance, he showcased his batting skills. He had the best strike rate. A lot of the knocks he scored were knocks that went, over 100, strike rate, which changes games. And then when you have experienced heads like Angelo Matthews in that group, that shows how the players can express themselves. Like Wanindu would, jump up the order, go bat freely, knowing that he has one steady head in the batting unit to hold its own, and that's what came through.
Yeah.
Uh, Tamidu Mendes again had a chance, went up the order, batted freely,
Mm.
knowing that they have batters they can fall back on. So it was a big indication what Angelo Matthews can offer. We are going to India. We know he plays really well out there. It's one World Cup ahead. Do we make that choice now?
Yeah, spot on. He contributed with the new ball as well, but he's taken wickets with the new ball. The if you talk about Wanindu, I'm I'm gutted because after a performance like that, this is where you test it, right? It's good to have a tournament like that, taking most wickets and scoring most runs, and you are coming into a tournament like this, you are high on confidence, and this would have been his coming of age tournament, and it's sad that he can't play play the Asia Cup. Hopefully, he'll be able to play in the second round if he make it to the top four. Uh,
Yeah,
but Dushmanta is definitely out. I mean, we talked about this many times. This keeps happening. That's the if it's couple of injuries, you understand, but there has to be there has to be a way to deal with this. You
yeah,
can't let this happen. I said this earlier as well. World Cups are like Olympics. You know, you have to have your best team available for a World Cup. That's where when you look at our history, we won 2 World Cups. That's what people talk about. So you want your best players available for a World Cup. If that's not the case, I don't know. Maybe they're 50% fit and they don't want to take a chance and play them in the Asia Cup, so they'll miss the World Cup. I hope that's the case. But it's an issue we had to address and find solutions because this has been happening for the last 3 4 years, and we tried
Yeah,
different methods to tackle it, and nothing's working either. Like sometimes players say um, the fitness standards are too high, or or the or the management say, hey, you guys are not fit enough, so we'll have to find a solution. I know it's hard because we play a lot of cricket, a lot of traveling, especially even in this Asia Cup, players have to travel to Pakistan, come back and play in Sri Lanka. So but that's part of the modern game. So we can't change that. We'll
yeah.
have to find a way to work through it, like having a bigger squad, maybe. Like you'll have to take 18 players and rotate them. Like if you are in that let's say in that red zone where they are bound to catch an injury, you'll have to rest them. And
Yeah.
some countries have tried that, and like England and Australia have tried that, and that's why they keep winning World Cups, because they have their best players available for the World Cups.
Look, I think it's a interesting topic and good way to think about it, and an area to discuss is with the coach and how it changed. This is where we kind of look back a years or a year and a half decision where we relax the fitness requirements, right? I don't We let go of the 2K time trial. There
Mm.
wasn't um, a hard, fast accountability on meeting fitness standards. It stopped as soon as Chris Silverwood took over. Prior to Chris Silverwood, Mickey Arthur had the regime of you need to meet your fitness standards, if not, you don't get paid. Over time, there was a lot of resistance at the start, but over time, it became a norm, and I think we had a bit of consistency in terms of injuries. Now we look back at a year and a half, a decision to relax the fitness requirement, and now we are staying at a squad of 4 players injured. The injury counts have been going up, so we need to look and say, do we go back to Mickey Arthur's method? Did it bear fruit for us that the players were meeting the fitness standards and didn't break down as much? Or like you say, the squad rotation method, which is well followed by teams such as Australia and England, where they do rotate the players. Yes, they might uh, lose a game, or the risk of them losing is high, but they don't let go of the squad rotation. They actually push ahead with it.
Yeah.
So we need to take that into account, especially because we don't have a heavy schedule of Test cricket being played. So our schedule just allows us with that rotation. Um, but it's frustrating that we kind of go back and discuss the same thing when we are trying to build momentum. And the best way we can reflect is on stats. We go by, if we look back, this is how we ran a quick poll or just a bit of
Mm.
help online to find who has played the most back-to-back games. This is on the back of Nathan Lyon playing 100 consecutive test matches for Australia in a 10-year career or 11-year career, and he broke down injured in his 100th game. Luckily, we had a lot of good feedback coming in. The players that were top of the list were Mahela Jayawardene, Sangakkara, Russell Arnold had played
Russell,
115 ODI games.
Aravinda,
Um, Aravinda, and something when you look back, that has been the period where Sri Lanka cricket has been consistent and performing well, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
whereas we are in a period where we are trying to come up, and it's given players a steady run. Like if you take even the likes of Kusal Mendis, um, some of the batters that were in the setups, even the
yeah,
Chandimas, they were given steady runs, but they still haven't gotten that back-to-back sequence of matches being played. So it comes down to injuries, performance that are so bad you have to move out of the team to allow someone to come in. It's
yeah,
not a structure of you're performing on average, will give you a steady run where you'll eventually come good. The performance has been so low, you have to stay out of the team. And that's that golden era of cricket. After that, we've struggled, with players being consistently being able to play matches.
yeah.
So
It's interesting when you look at this list, Bora. They're all batsmen.
yeah,
So, you have Chaminda Vaas, you have Murali, you have Lasith Malinga. They all picked up injuries during their careers.
yeah,
But we had a good backup, and sometimes I remember there was a time you rested some of these bowlers, and they still got
mm,
paid for their tour. So because we had to look at that side as well, because there's a small window where these players at the top level have the ability to earn earn their money from their game, so they want to play cricket, but
yeah,
that has to come from the administration side. Hey, we'll look after you, and that's what Australia does. They do that with Mitchell Stark. SLC's method of doing things is by force. Sometimes they say, hey, we're gonna ban you from going to play in leagues, right?
yeah,
It's okay if you look after them, they'll listen to you. But do you have that trust? I think
yeah,
that's where the conflict is. It's a balancing act, and it's something has to be resolved. And I want to give a big shout out to the guys who come up with these stats, Bora. You know, we
mm,
we mentioned we mentioned this in your tweet, and Akila Senaviratna and Turunu Jayasiri and Adil Siddiq, they were very quick to respond with the stats. So thank you guys for that. Yeah, I think we'll be busy during the Asia Cup. We'll keep a close eye, because we are very close to a World Cup. I think whatever happens in this Asia Cup, teams will benefit from this tournament. So we'll keep an eye and see, who's gonna do well, and it'll be an interesting tournament because they're playing in Sri Lanka. It's good for Sri Lanka as well, because a lot of Indians and Pakistanis and Bangladeshis will travel to Sri Lanka to watch games. As you said, I mean, you can rent out some of your properties in Canada, Candy, for the guys who are coming from India and Pakistan.
yeah. The dollar's gone up for for a stay out there. But look, within the Asia Cup, Pakistan being the number one ODI team, India would want to get on top of that. There's a lot of rivalries happening. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Since of late, that's the rivalry we've had. I know
Yeah.
if you look back 10, 15 years, it
It's
wasn't much. It was pretty much one-way traffic. We used to get a lot of strong wins, but it's 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 changed. Um, we should be able to compete and get on top is my feeling still. But however, there's always that pressure when there are former coaches involved in the setup. They're always trying to get one
Hmm. Yeah,
over.
yeah.
So
You think we're gonna make the top four, bro? What do you think?
yeah, I'd like to back Sri Lanka in on the top four playing at home. It's going to be a tough one, but we've the team's still good enough to make it on in at home conditions, make it take it to your advantage. So I'll
Yeah.
go. I'll knock Bangladesh out of the top four. So I'll
Ooh,
let
Afghanistan
Afghanistan
in.
come in.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
India, Pakistan, I think should be auto picks from that group. Between Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Uh, First game could be a decisive game for Sri Lanka.
Wow. Okay. So okay, this will be interesting. So we'll see. So okay, that's a big call, Bora. All right, we'll keep an eye.
They'll lose to us and hopefully lose out on run rate.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
All right. But I still think Bangladesh will get enough net run rate to get into the top four. Afghanistan, I will back them in a T20 Asia Cup, but it's a 50 over, so I think Hatu's team will scrape through.
all right.
All right, that's
Let's
all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up in a week or so, and